YourPortfolio.com. Once again, politicsandyourportfolio.com.
AM 560, The Answer. It's time for the Playmaker Spotlight with Executive Coach and Vistage Chair, Dick Smith.
Well, welcome once again to the Playmaker Spotlight, the part of the Get Down to Business show where we speak to CEOs and business owners and share their stories and best practices with you. Playmakers is brought to you in part by Vistage, the world's largest CEO advisory board organization. And I am Dick Smith, your host, the CEO business coach, and award-winning chair for Vistage International. And tonight I'm very pleased to have with us as our guest on our program, Chuck Porcelli. He's president of ASG Staffing and Azimuth. They're headquartered in Bensonville, two different companies, and Chuck will explain that. ASG Staffing is the source for industrial staffing. ASG Staffing specializes in on-site management of mid to large-scale accounts. They provide customized programs that fit your manufacturing environment and methods. On-site management means more efficient use of temporary labor, allowing your core staff the ability to focus on more strategic objectives. And Azimuth, is it Azimuth Staffing? Is that okay? Azimuth Staffing specializes in clerical, call center, administration, and skilled industrial people. So there's the difference. So again, tonight, Chuck Porcelli, welcome to Playmakers.
Thank you.
Chuck, give us a brief history about how you got started with ASG Staffing and then how you spun off and started Azimuth.
Yes, we had a company, actually in 1987, I went into business and started a company called Advanced Search Group. Mm-hmm. We did permanent placement all over the country. We did engineering and we did local production operations management personnel. It was perm placement, all contingent feed. Had about 25 desks at the time, and it's a very cyclical business. Good months are good, bad months are bad because it's all contingent feed. So the people that we were doing business with on the perm side, placement production operations management personnel, were using temps. So in 1995, we went into business, opened up our first office. We always went by the acronym of ASG. So we opened up ASG Staffing in Bensonville in 1995 to provide light industrial labor. We already had the contacts in place, so it was easy. Today, we now have 5 retail locations throughout Chicago, and we have 7 or 8 major offices at client facilities where we staff from there.
Gotcha. So how many sets of boots do you have at any given time in any given week working temporary labor?
We have thousands, upwards of 4,000 people a day are out there working. Mm-hmm. We probably put out, 20,000 W-2s this year or so.
Wow. And what about Azimuth?
Azimuth started actually 7 years ago. What happened was because of our background in recruiting, a lot of clients would come to us and they would need a step-up sort of person. So it was a quality control tech or a mechanic or a line leader or a super. And we were able to secure that person, but there was a lot of risk in hiring people like that. It's a different business model with the unemployment. So we started up a new company called Azimuth at the time with its own FEIN number and its own ID. And it was to provide that next level person. So right now, you could say our competitive advantages when we deal with light industrial labor people on the ASG side against our competitors, most of them don't have that brand like we have with Azimuth, where we could actually find the skilled person. So it started by 7 or 8 years ago. I like to say it was a mistake because home runs are mistakes. If you know anything about baseball, you don't try and hit out of the park. You hit down on the ball actually to make it go up. But
there you go.
That's how Azimuth started.
There you go. So is there any rationale to the name? Where did that come from? Interesting name.
It's funny because the ASG logo is an arrow. It's a red arrow, and it's pointed upwards. Mm-hmm. Azimuth is a nautical term for a direction that you're going in.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a continuation of that, and I like to start with the letter A. I want to be the first guy in the phone book that someone picks up the phone and calls.
There you go. All right. So tell me a little bit more about your typical customer on both sides of the fence. ASG Staffing and then Azimuth.
Yeah, ASG, we do anything from, at the small scale, we've got customers that use 1 or 2 people. Mm-hmm. It's just a fill-in. Yep. It's an easy thing. It could be a maternity leave or a sick leave, or it just could be they need another head and they don't know how long they need them.
A seasonal run, pick and pack and that kind of stuff.
Pick and pack, forklift. All the way on up to, we've got a lot of clients that use 20, 30, 40 people.
Wow.
And they're there most of the year. And the beauty of it for them is we're the employer of record.
So you're the W-2. You issue the W-2s.
We issue the W-2, so this affordable health care is something they don't have to mess around with.
Right.
We handle that for them. If we have more than 70, 80 staff in a building, which we do in some cases, we then manage that staff for you and with you.
Oh, wow.
We make it very seamless. We have time clocks out there. We could basically do your cost accounting for you, so you know what your labor costs are and to each product or what you're running, and manage the workforce. And you don't have to let one go. We'll let one go for you. We'll review them. We'll discipline them. We'll train them. We implement training and all the GMPs and SOPs.
You have about 200 customers or something like that, did you say, for the light industrial?
Sure, about 200 customers throughout the Chicagoland area. We stretch from Lake Michigan all the way on down the 55 corridor to Joliet, Elwood, back up north into the Fox Valley, into the city, all the way back east to the lake.
I want to get back to Azimuth in a minute, but if you're just tuning in, this is the Get Down to Business Playmaker Spotlight brought to you by Vistage International. And we're talking to Chuck Porcelli, the president of ASG Staffing and Azimuth. So let's talk about Azimuth a little bit. Who are those customers? And
sure. A lot of similar customers to ASG, but the difference is, I always try and keep it simple, is the difference between ASG and Azimuth, you have to be invited in for an interview. ASG is in retail locations. We work with what comes into the offices. We stimulate that flow on the ASG side with social media and ads and flyers and referrals, et cetera. But on Azimuth, we've got recruiters working social media all day long trying to find that fit, trying to find that person with a certain skill. Then we're able to test this person. We could email them the test, and then when we have everything together, we then invite them in for an interview. So Azimuth is that little bit step up. Obviously, higher pay rates. Azimuth, ASG works minimum wage to $13, $14 sort of people. Azimuth plays in the $15 to $30, even $35 an hour sort of person with a skill.
Gotcha. Now, again, they're all W-2 for both sides? Both sides.
A lot of times on the ASG side, people convert our people to their payroll, and they can after 480 hours. On the Azimuth side, it's 720 hours. Sometimes, I'm going to say the majority of the Azimuth work is temp to perm. So the intention is to make this person whole after the trial period.
Gotcha.
And then Azimuth also does some perm placement right out of the chutes. We just placed, I'm going to say the other day, we just placed a controller for a company.
Gotcha. So Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, how has that impacted you guys? You have to obviously provide the insurance coverage through exchanges and then charge the actual end user, right?
Yeah, our average industry growth, last I heard from American Staffing Association, I believe, was 14 or 15% growth across the board in the country. Wow. In staffing because of affordable care. So it's something that we've all had to hire staff to track affordable care, but it's our job to track it and provide it. So it's stimulated our business.
Tell me a little bit more about the culture at ASG Staffing. How do you hang on to these people, both the people in your office that place these staffing people?
Yeah, it's very hard. We being a family-owned business, I started it with my wife, who's now on the board, and she comes in and consults.
So you continue to answer to your wife.
I can't get away, I know. I just want to be the boss at one place. So my garage at home, that's about the only place. So I think we pay our people very well for the industry because it's burnout work. Recruiting is burnout work. And if I told you our product was the people, I've got the worst product in the world. Our product is our service and how we handle the people, recruit the people, manage the people. So internally, we attract some pretty good talent. I've got some 20-year employees on the ASG staffing side that have been with us. I think we pay a little bit more. We provide good benefits. My door is always open. I know everybody. We've got about 65 internal employees to run this, and we treat everybody well. And we've got a good comp program for everybody, and in a burnout business like this. So
gotcha. Well, we hear all the time the war on talent, and obviously you're very familiar with that term.
Oh, yeah.
Just about anybody that wants to be employed today probably can get a job, right?
Yeah. Drive down the street. I probably saw 10 signs on my way here for help wanted.
Help wanted, yeah.
It's
amazing.
It's crazy.
So it makes your job really tough.
Yeah.
I get that. So tell me, where do you see the companies, plural, in 3 to 5 years rather quickly as we're running out of time?
Sure. We doubled our sales on the ASG side the past 5 years. I see that happening again on the labor side. And the key is to secure good internal talent. The Azimuth side, I see us opening up a new office in the next 6 to 9 months, possibly in the city, looking at the West Loop. I see a culture of young people coming into the Azimuth side of the business, 2 to 6 years out of college, kind of a neat environment for young people, a little bit open, a little fun, team.
Yep.
I see building that way into a really cool...
The Google Groupon kind of a feel.
Right, yeah, that tech feel.
Hey, well, I'm afraid we're just about out of time. I'd like to thank Chuck Porcelli, the president of ASG Staffing and Asmith, for being with us today. I'm your host, Dick Smith, and you can reach me at dick.smith@vistagechair.com or connect with me on LinkedIn. And now, stay tuned for more of Get Down to Business with my friend Shalom Klein.